Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Coimbra. In the game of Coimbra, there are 6 different things that will happen through a turn. There are 4 overall rounds. Rounds are measured by this set of cards. These many cards will come out each time. I've set the game up as a 2-player game, which means I've put in these dummy dice, which I was talking about in the introduction. So let's run through how the game runs. First up, we start with rolling the dice. That is part A. That's nice and easy, straightforward. You'll notice that each of these dice are different colours. Those colours are in reference to that chart on the far side. The white one is a wildcard dice, which means it can be used to be any of those 4, and you can choose as you go. So what happens in turn, each player chooses one of these dice and puts it down. What it's going to say is how much you're paying to get a card next to the area that you put the die in. So for example, if this first player puts a number 6 here, he's going to choose first because he's the highest number. It's also going to cost him 6 coins or 6 shields, depending on which card he takes. Now, some of the stuff that he gathers earlier on may or may not allow him to get more coins or more shields, depending on what's on the cards. Now, if you look at that die, it doesn't really show who's put it up there. That's where these castle things come in. So, we place it in the blue castle, showing that it's the blue player who has selected to go with 6 there. Then the red will take a turn. Notice that when red and blue have chosen the same numbers, the second person who chose that number goes after the first person who chose the number. And that is, in essence, how the first 2 sections of the game have gone. Now we get to the third section. So what happens? We work our way down the board. Whoever has the lowest number here goes first. There is only 1 die there, but if that would happen to be up there, this one would go first, then that one. What that does is he now chooses one of these 4 things to take. This one will gain him more money or shields. This one will gain him movement around that map, which we'll talk about in a moment, plus some points. This one will gain him this. He could put that over the top of any one of his dice, and that will give him 3 extra pips on that die. He's going to have to pay for that, so theoretically he'd have to pay 9 of whichever card he took. It really comes in handy if you're there, and that would push that up to a 5. But he'll need to pay 5 to pay that, and he gets some points for that. And this one allows him to make a purchase down here, which we'll get to. This is the F action, so we'll get to them later, but it gives him a 2 discount on the price of it, and then he can do it again when you get to the F with, again, that 2 discount. Then once that one's taken, we come down, and basically each one, in order from left to right, chooses one of the locations, one of the things to take. If there is a lightning bolt arrow, it means that's a one-off. He takes the bonus right now. If there is an E, he would tuck that under this section of the board, and that's a bonus within the E section. We're currently in the C section, but when we get to the E, that could be a bonus. If there's an exclamation point, that's in-game points, and we go under this part of the board just here, then game points. If the card selected has one of these on top of it, you gain that. What that does is gives you extra crowns, and we'll talk about why you would need extra crowns in a moment. So once we have worked our way all the way down, if there's a die there, so this one, for example, this one would be spending 6. So say he's gained 7 shields up the top to start with. What he'd be doing is spending 6 shields. Of course, there's shields in the top corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those come to him. This is a one-off thing. Before we get to that, however, so what that 3 is talking about is this track, and we push him 3 up on that track, and we'll talk why you would want to get up further on that track in a moment. Then it's a lightning bolt, so it's a once off, and it's basically saying every other player must give me either 1 shield and 1 money or 2 points. So that player will give me 1 shield and 1 money down, 1 shield, 1 money up, and then that card goes over on the left hand side. Now once that's happened, this dummy die is going to remove the highest valued card. So it's one of these 2 cards. They're numbers 2. That's a number 1. And the highest one from the left. So it's actually going to remove this card from play, so that this die only has those 2 to choose from. On the D section of the game, you'll look for how many crowns each player has. So this player has 2 crowns. This player has no crowns. You'll gain crowns by picking up these off the card, so there's worth 2, or these ones from the top of the castle. And also in the turn order. So the second player has 1 originally, so red has 1, blue has 2, which means blue will stay as first player, red will stay as second player. Those crowns then get returned and they will be put out again for the next round. Each player will then action one of these columns for each die taken. So the red player has these 3. So what he's going to do is he will gain where the red token is, which is on the move guy. So that's move him 2 spots. And what that means is it's talking about this area here. So the red guy can move 1 to there and say, a second one up to here. What that does is he now will take one of his tokens and put it there to show that he's been there. You're only able to action each of these once. He gains what is on there, of course they're marked with a lightning bolt. So he gains 3 on the black. 1, 2, 3. And that one's now been actioned. So we take the die out and put the castle back. The grey one obviously is talking about this, so he'll gain 3 shields. 1, 2, 3. Put that die back. Then this one is a wild card. So he has the choice of any of the 4 tracks. So he could move this guy again 2 spots. He could gain 1 money. He could gain 3 more shields. He could gain 1 point. So he might take the chance to actually gain more shields. 1, 2, 3. The die goes back. The castle goes down there. Each of them will do that in turn. And that was the E section of the game. Now we get to the F section of the game. The F section is spending money or shields to put your marker on one of those 6 things available at the bottom of the board. So with the money and shields where they are at the moment, so what blue might do is go there, which will gain him, it costs him 6 money, which he has. And what that's going to do at the end of the game, he will get 2 points for every black card that he has in his selection. Red could do the same, but he doesn't have any black cards at the moment, so it's not 100% necessary to do that. What he can do is probably spend shields, because he doesn't have enough money to be able to do anything on that side. So he would spend shields to grab one of these. He might spend 5 shields, brings him down to an 8. And what that does is gives him 2 points for every one of these ships that he's taken by the end of the game. Look, I think that gives you a really good idea of how things run. There's a heck of a lot of points at the end of the game for various cards and for the ships. Other things you need to be aware of is there are points for how far up these tracks you go, and they're marked at the top. If you're playing a 2-player game, the second player needs to be 3 spots or less. So if that's kind of where we land at the end of the game, blue would get the second player points, which is 4 points, while red got the 9. Whereas if it was there, blue would not get any points at all. The other thing to be aware of is that there are certificates in the bottom of the card, and there are points for the different colours of certificate. So there are 5 different colours that you could collect. If you can get a collection of all 5 of them, it's worth 12 points. If you only have one of them, it's worth 1 point. So it's one of those, the more you have, the more you get kind of things. So when you're buying them, it's worth looking for those certificates as well, just to know that there's some in-game points there. If you have 2 of the same, then you're starting a second collection with the second one. So there's those, there's that, there's points on any cards that are in that area. And then for every crown, shield and money that you have at the end of the game, add them all together, divide by 2, that's more points for you. And that's pretty much it. Whoever has the most points wins. I think I'll leave it there. So please go on and watch my next video to get a feel for how the game actually plays as a 2-player version. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplaned, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.